Can you be able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, basic
So in the
programming
last
system.
class, we discussed about the variables, the Python 3 variables, variable types even. So this particular class, we'll discuss more about the Python 3 basic operators. We will discuss about if, else statement, and then in Python 3 you don't have else if, but you have elif. Okay, if, elif, else statement, and then you have nested if statement, and then we will discuss about while loop. Okay, so before beginning any session, whether it may be late or maybe whether it may be early, don't forget to thank God for giving this golden opportunity to deliver this useful session, to share my knowledge among my fellow national as well as international participants. So this is what we are going to discuss at a glance. In Python 3, we are going to go with the decision making statements. We would discuss first of all with if statement, the flow diagram, the structurogram, the flow diagram, and then we would discuss about an example and then an output. And then we would discuss about the if, else, and then elif statements. In the same case, we would discuss about a structurogram, flow diagram, example and output. Same case with the elif statement, flow diagram, example and output, and then the nested if statement, and then Python 3 loops, which is the second part of today's class. With Python 3, we will discuss about the loops, the infinite loop, and then we will end up with the using the else statement with loops. We will discuss about an example and the when you try to run this program, the corresponding output as well. Of course, at regular intervals, I will be showing you some videos which would better understand the particular concept, and we would have a short class test if there is time. So, with the case of Python 3 decision making, decision making means you have to decide whether it may be true or it may be false. So, you are going to execute the program and you have to come up with a solution whether it is true or false. So, in the case of decision structures, it evaluates multiple expressions. So, the probability is either true or it may be false. So, just like you toss a coin, so either it may have head or it may have tail. Okay. So, the same case with the case of the expression which you are trying to make the decision. So, it evaluates multiple expressions and your outcome or maybe the result may be true or maybe false. You actually have to determine which action to take, whether you have to take the true statement or you have to take the false statement. If you are going to take the true statement, you are going to execute the statements accordingly, and if you are going to take the false statement, then you are going to execute the corresponding statements as well. So this is a flow diagram of the decision making statement. So if there is condition, then the conditional code would be executed, which means that if the condition is said to be true, then conditional code would be executed. Else, if the condition is false, directly it will terminate out of the loop. So this is the condition, or maybe this is the actual scenario behind decision making. So in the case of decision making, we have like if statement, if else statement, and then nested if statement. Okay. So Python programming language assumes non-zero and null values as true. Okay, so if it is not zero or maybe if it is not void or if it is not null, it is termed to be true. And the zero values or maybe null values, you term it to be false. Okay, right? So you have if statement. So if statement generally consists of a Boolean expression which is followed by one or more statements. And in an if else statement, there is a if statement followed by an optional else statement. Okay, so which executes when the Boolean expression is false. So if condition true means statement, else it will terminate. Okay, so this is the if else statement. And then nested if statement, one if statement within another if statement that you call it to be the nested if statement. So in the case of the if statement, just like C or maybe C++, the same expression follows because you have syntax if of expression, if expression statements. So if the Boolean expression generally if it evaluates to true, then the block of statements inside the if statement will be executed. Okay. So here generally in Python programming, normally when you try to encounter, the statements are uniformly indented after the colon symbol. Okay. So if the Boolean expression evaluates to false means the first set of code after the end of the block would be executed. So like after the statement, like there is another set of statements. That set of statements would be executed for the false condition. So this is the block diagram, maybe the flow diagram of the if statement. So there is condition. If the condition is said to be true, so the conditional code will be executed and it will maybe terminate out of the loop. So if the condition is said to be false, directly it will terminate out of the loop. So this is an example of an if statement. So we are going to access the Python 3 out of the USR. So USR slash bin slash Python 3. We are going to initialize the variable 1 as 100. Okay, so var 1 is equal to 100. If variable 1, okay, so you are going to print 1 got a true expression value. Okay, and then you are going to print variable 1. Okay, and then the second case variable 2 equal to 0 if var 2 where 2 print 2 got a true expression value. Okay, so print var 2 and then you are going to print goodbye. Okay, so for example, if this above code is being executed, okay, if you are going to take this 100 alone, so you are going to get 1 got a true expression value. Okay, and you are going to print variable 1. What is this variable 1?
Variable 1 is as 100.
100. So you're going to print it as 100. Okay, and afterwards this set of statements will not be executed. The second set of statements is not executed and directly it will go to print goodbye. Okay. So this is an example of a if statement. Next comes if, elif, and else statement. So then an else statement can be combined with a if statement. So this is a brown thing. Like if the expression is said to be false, then it will go to another set of statements. So that's a basic difference. So an else statement contains a block of code that executes if the conditional expression in the if statement resolves to 0 or maybe false value. Okay. Like for example, in the case of the syntax, okay, you have if expression statements, else another set of statements would be there. Okay, so this is the syntax of the if else statement. Okay, if expression colon statements, else statements. So this is an exact flow diagram of the if else statement. So if the condition is being evaluated, if the condition is said to be true, then there is if code. Okay, that is if code. If the condition is said to be false, then you go for else code. Okay, so this is true and this is false. Okay, either ways, it joins here and it terminates out of the loop. Okay, so this is the flow diagram of the if else statement. This is an example of the if else statement. Okay, this is you are going to calculate the net payable discount out of this program. So you are going to access Python 3 from USR and bin. So hash exclamatory symbol slash USR slash bin slash Python 3. Okay, and then amount equal to, you are going to define it as integer. Okay, input enter the amount. Okay, so here there is a condition. If amount less than 1000, then you are going to give it as discount is equal to amount into 0.05. For example, if you have the amount to be 500, okay, so it is 500 into 0.05. Okay, and then you are going to print the discount. Okay, else what you are going to do is discount is equal to amount into 0.10. Okay, can you understand the logic behind this program? Can you understand the logic behind this program? Actually,
Yes, yes, Peter.
if the amount is
Yeah,
greater than 1000 means you are going to give it as 10% discount. If the amount is less than 1000 means you are going to give 5% discount. Okay. So if the else means If the amount is greater than 1000, so you get discount is equal to amount into 0.10, and you are going to print the discount. Okay, so afterwards you are going to print net payable amount is, you're going to get amount minus discount. Okay, so in this case, the discount is calculated on the input amount. Okay. For example, if you are entering the amount, okay, if you are going to execute this particular program, enter amount 600. Okay. So this 600 is less than 1000. So in this program, you are going to go with 0.05. Okay. So 600 into 0.05, the discount is actually 30 rupees. Okay. So 600 minus 30, the net payable amount is 570 rupees. Okay. And similar case, if you are going to enter the amount as 1200, so it is greater than 1000. Okay. So the discount is actually 10% discount. Okay. So 0.10 into 1200, you get 120. Okay. So 1200 minus 120 gives 1080. So this is how you calculate the discount with the case of the if else statement. Students, did you all understand this program?
Yeah, teacher, we understand.
Okay,
I totally
okay,
understand.
okay.
Just organize.
Okay. We're going to continue with the elif statement. So with the elif statement, you can check multiple expressions. As we discussed in the video, we are going to check multiple expressions for true. Okay. For example, if there is a if and then else statement, and then you are going to go with another one. For example, we discussed in the example like the number is positive, else the number is negative. Elif statement, you are going to go with number is 0. Okay, so you are going to check for multiple expressions for true and executes a block of code as soon as the one of the conditions evaluate for true. Okay, so similar to the else statement, the elif statement is actually optional. Okay, so this is the syntax for the elif statement. So if expression 1, then statements would be executed. Elif expression 2, statements would be executed. Elif expression 3, statements would be executed. And afterwards, finally, it goes to the outer block, else statements. So you're going to go with the multiple expression, expression 2, expression 3. Okay? If statement, elif statement, elif statement, else statement. Okay, so this is how you try to evaluate multiple expressions in the case of true condition. This is a simple example of an elif statement. So the same case with the case of the discount problem we are going to discuss with the elif statement. So you are going to access Python 3 hash exclamatory symbol USR bin Python 3. You are going to initialize the amount. Okay, so amount equal to initialize input enter number. So the same program we are going to repeat it, but only difference is that we are going to discuss with the elif statement. Okay, so if amount less than 1000, we discuss the same. So discount is equal to amount into 0.05, which means that if the amount is less than 1000, then you are going to give 5% discount. If the amount is greater than 1000, means you are going to give 10% discount. Okay, so print discount. If amount less than 5000 means, then you are going to give it as discount amount 0.10. That's why you are going to print discount. Okay. Else discount is equal to amount into 0.15, which means that if the amount is greater than 5000 means you are going to give 15% discount. Did you understand? If the amount is less than 1000 means 5% discount. If the amount is between 1000 to 5000 means 10% discount. If the amount is greater than 5000 means it is 15% discount. Okay. And afterwards you are going to print discount. Okay, so finally you are going to print net payable amount is actually amount minus discount. Okay, so this is actually elif example. Okay, so if and then elif and then else. So this is the amount, entire amount equal to 600. Okay, so discount would be 600 into 0.05. Okay, so it would be 30. So net payable amount is equal to 600 minus 30, you get 570. Okay, for example, if the amount is entered as 3000, okay, so it is between 1000 to 5000. Okay, so what is the discount that you give? What is the discount that you give for 3000?
Say thousand is multiplied to 0.
10 percentage. Okay, 10 percentage. So 0.10. So you get 300. So 3000 minus 300, you get 2700. Okay. And if the amount is greater than 5000, means 6000, you are going to give it as 15% discount. So it is multiply by 0.15. Okay, you're going to get 900. So 6000 minus 900, you get 5100. So this is how you try to evaluate with a if else, if elif and else statement. Finally, we'll go for the nested if condition. So there is, as I told you, nested if means there is a if statement within another if statement. Okay, which means that the syntax is as follows. So if expression one, then statement will be executed. If expression two, statement will be executed. Okay, elif expression 3 statement would be executed, else it goes outer. Okay, else statements would be executed. Okay, and finally elif expression 4 statements, else statements. So this is actually one block, this is actually one block, and this is the second block. Okay, finally. Okay, so you have expression 1, expression 2, expression 3. Okay, right? And afterwards it goes outside. Okay, right. For this, if condition, there is elif condition, and there is else statement as well. Okay. So this is an example of a nested if condition, maybe nested if statement. You're going to access Python 3 has exclamatory symbol, user made Python 3, num equal to integer. Okay, you want to initialize input into the number. If num modulus 2 or maybe num percentage 2 equal to 0, if num percentage 3 equal to 0, okay, for both of the cases, you are going to print it as divisible by 3 and 2. For example, if you have the number 6, okay, so 6 percentage 2, definitely it would be 0. 6 percentage 3, 6 modulus 3, definitely it would be 0. So you are going to print it as divisible by 3 and 2. Okay, else you can say print divisible by 2 but not divisible by 3. Okay, right. Else with the case if number percentage 3 equal to 0, divisible by 3 but not divisible by 2. Okay, else you are going to say not divisible by 2 and 3. Okay, are you understanding? Are you understanding? For example, if we give the number as 6, it can say divisible by 3 and divisible by 2. Okay, else we are going to give it as divisible by 2 but not divisible by 3. Okay, for example, if you give the number as 4, okay, it is, you can say that divisible by 2 but it is not divisible by 3. Okay, right. But if you give the input as 9 means it is divisible by 3 but it is not divisible by 2. Okay, right. For example, let us take in the case, I'm giving the number as 17. 17. It is not divisible by 2 and 3. Are you getting? Are you getting? Are you understanding this program with the case of nested if? Else I will discuss it once again. I'll discuss it once again. See, first of all, you are going to give the number. Okay, number. Okay, there is two conditions: percentage 2 and percentage 3. Okay, you are going to print divisible by 3 and 2. Else condition divisible by 2 but not divisible by 3.
Yes.
And else condition, if num percentage 3 equal to 0, then you can say divisible by 3 but not divisible by 2. Okay, if either of this condition fails, then you can say not divisible by 2 and 3. Let us take an example. If you give the input as 6, what is the output?
Divided by 3 and 2. It's
3
divided
and 2.
by.
Okay, if I give the input as 4,
Oh, it's divided by 2, not divided by 3.
3, very good. If I give the input as 9,
it's divided by 3, not
3.
divided by 2.
3 but not divisible by 2. If I give the input as 13, not divisible by 2 and 3.
2 and divided by 3.
Okay, good. So this is the case. Enter the number 8. It is divisible by 2 but not divisible by 3. Enter the number 15. It is divisible by 3 but not divisible by 2. Enter the number 12. It is divisible by both 3 and 2. But if you enter the number 5, it is not divisible by 2 and 3. So we are going to end the first part of today's class with single statement suits. So if the suit of an if clause generally consists of a single line, so you have the if clause one line statement. I think this also we discussed in the video. Okay, one line if clause. So variable equal to 100. You are going to initialize variable into equal to 100. So if variable equal to 100, then you are going to print value of the expression is 100, and you are going to print goodbye. Okay. So you have already initialized variable equal to 100. If this variable equal to 100, you are going to print as value of the expression is 100, and then goodbye. Right. We move on to the second part of today's class with Python 3 loops. So this second part we will discuss more about the while loop. While loop. Okay. Right. So here, whenever you have a loop, it should be executed one by one. It should be executed sequentially, one after the other. Okay.
It's
So
like
yeah, tell me.
it's like if else.
Yeah, exactly. There should be some order. There should be order. Okay. For example, in the if else statement, maybe you can go in either ways, but loop it should have an order. Okay. So the first statement of function is executed first, followed by the second, followed by the third, followed by the fourth, and so on. Okay. So generally, with the case of different amount of expressions, programming languages provide various control structures that allow more complicated execution paths. Okay. For example, in the case of the loop statement, for example, if you have a condition, okay, if it is said to be true, then you are going to go with a conditional code. Okay. So it goes to the loop again. If it is going to check for the condition, as long it is true, it is going to go in the loop fashion. As long it is false, it is terminating out of the loop.
Yeah.
Right? So there are three types of loops: while loop, for loop, and nested loop. So this particular class, I'm going to teach only about while loop. Okay. So while loop means it's going to repeat a statement while the condition is true. So as long as the condition is true, it is going to execute the statement, and it tests the condition before executing the loop. Okay. And with the case of the for loop, it executes a sequence of statements multiple times and abbreviates the code that manages the loop variable. For the case of nested loop, as I told you, loop within another loop. So you are going to go with the inner loop first of all, and then you are going to go with the outer loop. So this particular class will touch only about while loop, and next class we'll discuss more about the for loop. So in the case of while loop, it is going to execute repeatedly a target statement as long as the given condition is said to be true. So this is the syntax: while expression, then statements. Okay, so as long as the expression is true, it is going to go through the loop. Okay, so the loop iterates while the condition is true. So when the condition becomes false, the program ends. So this is the flow diagram of the Python 3 loops for the case of while statement. So while expression statements, so you're going to go with the condition. If condition is true, you're going to go with the conditional code. It is going into the loop. Okay, so it is incrementing. It goes on through the loop, and afterwards, if the condition doesn't satisfy, then they terminates out of the loop. So this is an example. Here's our in Python 3. You are going to go with count equal to 0, while count less than 9. Okay. So you're going to print count is, and you're going to increment the count. Okay. Print goodbye. Okay. So as long as the count is less than 9, it is going to increment. It's going to increment, and afterwards you're going to print it as goodbye. So count is 0. It is printing. Count is 1, it is printing. Count is 2, printing. 3, printing. 4, printing. 5, printing. 6, printing. 7, printing. 8, printing. And and afterwards, if it is less than 9, afterwards it becomes 9. 9 less than 9, it terminates. And afterwards it says goodbye.
Goodbye.
finally we end up with the infinite loop. So loop becomes an infinite loop if the condition never becomes false. Okay, so you can say it is a infinity loop. Okay, so you must be cautious when using while loops because this condition never results to a false value. Okay, so this loop never is going to end. So it can call this to be an infinite loop. For example, you have the USR with Python 3 variable equal to 1, while variable equal to 1. Okay, num equal to integer input enter a number. Okay, so you're going to give print you entered, and you can say uh, you entered no one. Okay, and then print code one. Okay, so if, for example, if you are going to enter the number 20, you enter 20. Enter number 29, you enter 29. Enter number 3, 3. Enter number 11, 11. 22, 22. Okay, so enter a number. Maybe you are going to go with a trace back and the most recent call you are going to access with. So in either case, you are going to go with the infinite loop. So because the loop is going to continue, continue, continue. Okay, and you cannot actually close the program. So what you are going to do is, in order to exit the program, you are going to go with Control plus C because it's an infinite loop, and the only way to exit the program is to press Control plus C. Okay. Finally, you are going to use the else statement with the loops. So generally, with the case of Python, it is going to have an else statement associated with the loop statement. So if, for example, within a for loop, you are going to use the else statement. So else statement is executed first of all, and the loop was exhausted iterating the list. Okay. So if else statement is used within a while loop, okay, so else statement is executed first of all when the condition becomes false. Okay, so generally that's an example. This is a simple example. Slash USR bit Python 3 count equal to 0. While count less than 5, we are going to print count is less than 5. Okay, and you are going to increment the count. Okay, count plus 1. Okay, else print count is not less than 5. Okay. So here, in the case of the else statement, first of all, it's going to check for is not less than 5. Okay, it's not less than 5. So 0, if you are going to enter, it is less than 5. 1 means it is less than 5. It's going to increment. Okay, 0 means okay, it is less than 5. It is going to increment. Okay, it is going to increment as 1. 1, it is less than 5. It is going to increment 2. 2, it is less than 5. It is going to increment 3, less than 5. 4, less than 5. 5 is not less than 5. Okay. So first of all, here it is internally it is going to check for the else statement first of all, and then internally it is going to check for this case. Okay. So it is going to check for the the maximum condition. Okay. So as we already discussed earlier. Okay, if the else statement is used within a while loop, else statement is executed when the condition becomes false. Okay, so you're going to get it as 5 is not less than 5. And finally, we are going to go with the single statement suits. So a similar case with the case of elif statement given, we can include single statement suits. We can include everything within the same statement. Okay. For example, you are going to access USR with Python 3 flag equal to 1. While flag, you are going to print given flag is really true, and then print code 1. Okay. So for this case, flag equal to 1, you are going to say given flag is really true. Okay, and you are going to it goes infinitely, and you are going to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye every day. Okay, so it goes into an infinite loop. So only way to exit the program is press Control plus C. So you are going to exit this.